host, Jan Apro, and this is Waycross Community Forum. My guest today is Scott Gehring, and he is the CEO of Sojourner Recovery Services. Our topic today is, and this is very important to listen to, the rise of heroin abuse and how Sojourner Recovery Services provide effective treatment. That's about all I can tell you about the topic, but Scott, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Let's get right into this thing. What is the history of your organization, Scott?
Yeah, Sojourner actually has a very unique history. We were founded in 1983, so we're celebrating our 30th year in treatment services this year. We were originally incorporated as House of Calm. We had 7 beds that we leased in the YWCA and provided residential treatment services for women that had addiction and mental health issues. We're named after Sojourner Truth, a women's right advocate and former slave. She actually gave her most famous speech of her career in Akron, Ohio during the women's rights movement. I believe it was titled, "Ain't I a Woman?" So it's a heritage that we're very proud of at Sojourner Recovery Services, and you know, we like to provide those services primarily to a female population.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, what is the mission of Sojourner Recovery Services?
Yeah, our mission is straightforward. It is to provide the best services possible to the clients we serve.
Well, you know, your recovery service, what makes it different than any of the other recovery services that we all know about all over the place?
Yeah, we are a little different. We provide residential treatment services, and we're actually the only facility in Butler County that allows women to bring their children with them to treatment. We believe that it's really important to have a holistic approach when providing addiction treatment services and mental health services. So women are allowed to bring their family unit with them while they're in treatment. We provide child care while they're in group. We also actually provide medically assisted treatment, which is a little different.
Okay, well, you know, that I think is a very important thing, especially for the mothers of these small children. I think that having to be able to do this with their kids, whether, you know, without pawning them off on somebody while they go there. I think that's great. Well, tell our viewers about Sojourner's recovery services in fiscal year 2012. You had something going on at that year, and
yeah. Well, fiscal year 2012 was last year, and it was a very good year for us. We had a little over 500 clients that we served for the year. Again, primarily female and adolescent. We do have a small male program. But it was a very successful year. Our results were astounding. We achieved 18% successful completion above. That's 18% successful completion above the national average, which is something we're very proud of, and is kind of unheard of in the industry. So I think it's a real testament to the commitment of our clients, as well as the dedication of our very committed staff.
Well, you know, you said something when you first started, or the organization first started up, they had 7 beds. Now, let me ask you this big question. How many beds do you have now, and how big is this organization now in comparison to what it used to be?
We started out with 7, and we are up to about 105 right now. And to be honest, we are looking to expand even beyond that. The need has increased that much. That we want to be able to, you know, it's really hard to tell somebody that we want to help you, but we can't right now because we don't have room. So we're trying as hard as we can to expand our beds so that we can provide as much help as possible.
So you went from 7 to over 100 beds.
In 30 years, yeah.
In 30 years. That is quite a progression, and I don't care what anybody says. Are you a nonprofit organization, or, you know, is 501c3, or whatever you call it?
Yeah, we are a nonprofit 501c3. We are tax exempt, just like any other nonprofit service provider.
Okay. Well, who do you serve? Actually, who do you serve? I mean, we're talking about a big area. We're talking about a little area. What are we talking about?
That's a good question. Our funding sources kind of dictate a little bit of who we serve. Now, if you want to pay for your services on your own, we'll take anyone from anywhere. But primarily our treatment clients come from Butler County because that's where most of the funding sources for this area come from. But if you're a Hamilton County resident, we have contracts with Hamilton County. You're allowed to come up here for treatment. If you're a Warren County resident, we can take Warren County residents because we have contracts there as well. But primarily Butler County at this point.
So would you say you're on the inner portion of 275? Would that pretty well cover it?
Yeah, the inner portion of 275,
and
then
not the outskirts. I'm talking about the inner portion of of 275.
Yeah, we provide services to the inner portion of 275, and we also get a lot of referrals from the outer loop of 275 too. That midwestern rural area, we're actually seeing very much an uptick in the use of opiates in that region.
That's what I'm getting at, because I'm thinking about the outlying areas that we hear so much about now, about finding meth labs and everything else, and they're not in, quote, the populated area, if you will. They're in the farm, rural areas, and so on and so forth. And this would be, of course, in the farm areas.
Yeah. You know, the face of addiction has changed a lot over the last 30 years. It used to be, you know, it was a criminally motivated activity, but today it's not. These are our loved ones. These are our neighbors. These are our children. These are our best friends. It doesn't discriminate. So we're really seeing a new face to addiction, and we're trying to expand our reach so we can meet those needs.
Well, I think it's a really important factor about your services, because it's like I say, every day you pick up the paper. You know, there's something in the paper, there's something on the TV that says, well, we busted this guy, we got, well, good old Sheriff Jones here in Butler County is knocking these marijuana plants out all over the place. He's doing a heck of a job. I mean, he really is. And I tip of the hat to him. You know?
No, that's great, because I'll tell you what, marijuana is kind of a stepping stone. It starts out real small with, you know, somebody smoking a joint, and then it progresses and progresses until they run out of money and they find something like heroin that's really cheap but really addictive.
Oh yeah.
And it just escalates from there.
And really bad for the system.
Awful.
Oh yeah. How would I go about receiving your services up at where you are?
Yeah, we get clients a variety of ways, but you know, we get referrals from the courts, we get referrals from children's services, we get referrals from the agencies, but we can also take self-referrals. We get a lot of people that just call in and say, look, I know I have a problem, I'm not happy with it, and I need help. So feel free to just call us, and we will schedule you for an assessment. We'll get you in with either same day or within 48 hours, and we can get you scheduled for treatment.
So, well, what you're just saying now really is an amazing fact, because most of the times when you call different areas, they say, well, we might be able to get you in a couple of weeks, you know, and you're not coming up with that. You're actually 24 hours, 48 hours, even 72 hours would be a great advancement for these people.
You know, people that are addicted to a substance like heroin or any other opiate, they have a real need to feed that into that addiction. It's a physical and a mental component. So when they reach a point and they're willing to call and reach out for help, it is important that we're there to provide that help as quickly as possible.
Well, see, that to me is very important, because, you know, something about when you see different things about people who are on drugs, they will sit back and say, yes, I'm going to go to rehab, I'm going to do this. 10 minutes later, they've forgotten exactly what they've said, because their minds change so quickly that, you know, one time I'm going to do it, and the next time it's like people going on a diet after the first of the year. You know, seriously.
Well, and it's difficult, and it's not even a conscious decision. You know, when they know they need help, and they know they're not happy where they are.
Okay. Well, okay. Now, do you have a waiting list for people? I mean, and how long? Well, you mentioned how long it would take, but do you have a list? I mean,
we can get people in immediately for an assessment, and I don't really have much of a waiting list for our intensive outpatient or our outpatient treatment services.
Okay.
Our residential services do have a waiting list. It's about 2 to 3 months for our women's programs. I have no waiting list for our adolescent program right now.
Okay, that brings up a good point. Adolescent program. Give me ages.
Oh gosh, it's really heartbreaking. It can be 13 to 18, and you'd be surprised. We're getting more and more on the younger spectrum.
13 to 18?
13 to 18 is our adolescent program. Wow. I have no waiting list right now, though, so if you know somebody needs help, send them our way.
Well,
but we also have a male program, and the male program, unfortunately, has an 8-month waiting list. And that's something that we're working to address right now very quickly, so that we can help more and more clients.
Well, now, you know, that brings up another good point. You don't have you have a specific waiting list, but you don't have for others, is what I'm saying. Okay, but now, how long is your treatment program? In other words, let's break it down, if you will, for me, Scott. Someone who is heavily addicted versus someone who is marginally addicted.
Yeah, that's exactly how you should put it. The person who has a much higher need for treatment is going to have a longer stay in our residential program. So everybody's treatment is actually individually tailored to their specific needs.
Okay.
So the length of stay varies, but you know, some people may be out as quickly as 45 days. Some people may be there for 6 months. But what I can say is the average length of stay is 90 days.
Really? In a 3-month period?
In a 3-month period.
That's not too bad.
No, it's very manageable. And,
Yes.
and our success rate, like I said, has been very high.
Well, okay. Well, how much does it cost for your services? In other words, how do I want to put that? In other words, I know you're a nonprofit and so on and so forth, but let's say that I come from, and I'll pick a spot, Hillsborough, Indiana, which is out of the group, you know, area. Is it a very expensive situation, or does it depend on how much time I have to be there?
It's going to be completely reliant on what service you need. Like I said, our treatment is completely individualized.
Okay.
So we base our treatment to meet the person where they are and get them where they need to go. Okay. And every step in between is going to be different for each client. So what I would encourage you to do is call us. Okay. We'll set up an assessment, and we can go ahead and give you an accurate costing then if you want to pay out of pocket. Now, if you're on Medicaid, it's free. We can actually bill Medicaid 100% for your treatment. There is no cost. Okay. And we are in the process of accepting private insurance. We haven't gotten there yet, but we will within the next 6 months be able to accept private insurance.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question, whether or not you accept insurance or not, depending on, and I know a lot of times in the 501c3 there are different sections that yes you can, no you can't. Yeah. And you've got to be in the yes I can, one of those situations.
Absolutely.
Well, let's say that, I guess it's hard for me to say this because you're basically talking about the female situation here. All right, now we have a female, okay, Miss Jones. Okay. And Miss Jones, what can she bring to the treatment program? In other words, let's say she has to be housed for 90 days or whatever. Right. So what can she bring? I mean, you know, does she bring clothes? What does she bring?
No, that's a good question because people really don't know. So we provide room and board. So we're going to provide room, bedding, and bath supplies, those basic essentials you need. But we recommend that you bring some personal effects because it's important to maintain that family network and those close to home ties. But we also encourage people to bring about 2 weeks worth of clothes. Laundry services are available. But you know, two weeks worth of clothes pretty much is all you really need, and then any other personal effects that you want to bring with you.
So okay, let me go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 weeks of clothes. Now I'm going to be there for another 2.5 months. Now, do you have laundry facilities and everything right there that I can clean my clothes with and all that good stuff?
Yeah, we absolutely do. We have washers and dryers on site. We provide detergent and all the things you need to do your laundry.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to say. Okay, reverse
just like at home.
Just like at home.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you know, we got this gal in there now, and she brought some clothes from home and everything else. Now, what type of dietary services do you? I mean, do you have the same situation like they would have in a hospital, basically?
Yeah, we have two different actually approaches to this. So depending on the needs of the client, we'll go different directions. So there are some facilities that we provide meals to, and we have dietitians that work with that and provide all of the necessary, you know, healthy nutritional balance for the meals. And then we have another program where we actually provide some culinary training, and we help the women go ahead and shop and prepare their own food to help encourage more healthy lifestyle choices and things along those lines. So depending on which program you're in and depending on what your needs are will depend on how we approach that.
It sounds like you've got almost a total rehab program. I mean, from the beginning to the end. Well, that's what I'm listening to.
Yeah, you know, it's important because when you have an addiction, typically there's a reason that addiction occurred. People are self-medicating or there's something causing them to want to use those substances. So we try to approach it from a very holistic point so that if we address those underlying concerns, then that is the key in maintaining sobriety long term.
Well, you know, Scott, what about, now let's say Ms. Jones is married, she has several children. Is the family ever brought into this on the side to find out exactly, well, how did she get hooked on this sort of thing? Was it something that occurred in the family? The husband was out of a job, or there's a child that's ill, or whatever.
Yeah, that is such a good question. We actually have a family therapist on staff that works with the women or adolescents or men in treatment and their families, because really maintaining a sober environment once they leave the program is going to be crucial in maintaining their own individual sobriety. So a lot of times those underlying causes, those underlying triggers, are something going on at home or something that the family at home can help and be supportive with. So absolutely, and we have a family therapist that works with them on a regular basis.
Well, see, I think that's a very important factor, especially, and you're talking about these teenagers, man, 13 to 18. The family has got to be brought into this situation. I mean, you hear so many cases, Scott, that I didn't know that she was doing that. I didn't know this and that and the other. I mean, how do you approach this with a family when they've got a 15-year-old that's hooked on this stuff?
Yeah, it's a really hard situation. But I think, again, being supportive is key. And so bringing that family unit together, people that have an addiction, they're used to being judged. They're used to people being critical. They're used to people being correctional. Mm-hmm. What we try to bring out is support, because in order to beat this, in order to really maintain long-term sobriety, they're going to need as much support as possible. So bringing in that family unit and really developing a support network is really crucial.
Well, that's
life-changing.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's like I say, as an adult, okay, we are, I think, basically responsible for our idiosyncrasies. But then again, you look at this little 13 or 14 or 15-year-old kid that may be subject to school scrutiny, with the students at school. Hey, come on, you can do this, you can do that. And a lot of times, I'm sure that's how they get hooked on all of this stuff. And again, and I know of a family, personally, I know of a family that didn't know that their daughter was doing these sort of things. They had no clue until it got to the point where they found out that, wait a minute, something's not wrong with, and I'll use the word Sally, And then they finally woke up to the fact that, my God, she's got a problem. And it all relates back, Scott, it all relates back to her being chastised at school with her classmates because she wasn't with the group, And I think that is a lot. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it is. I would say it is, and it's really hard for parents to even tell these days. Our kids are smart, and they're creative and they're clever. So identifying the needs, sometimes it takes it to the point where it's almost out of control, and they need these services, which I think is why we're starting to see such an uptick in the need for this treatment.
Well, see, that's the thing that I often thought about, because working with kids and everything else is a very important factor. And I think a lot of times what these kids have had to do is walk away. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that this is one of the approaches you guys use out there, is you just walk away. You don't need this sort of thing,
Yep. And again, it's about that support network. And on the adolescent program, I just kind of want to point out, we have a very unique setup. We actually have a boys' house and a girls' house, mm-hmm. and then a schoolhouse.
Oh.
So if it's during the school year, the adolescents can actually maintain their curriculum. We have a teacher that's provided through Butler County Education that will maintain their individual classwork, so they can still keep up with their schoolwork and not fall behind while they're working on their treatment services.
Well, now, what about my treatment? Okay, is it confidential, or is the what is that, HIPAA thing and all that jazz? I mean, does that all fall into factors here?
It is absolutely 100% confidential. And we actually go a step further. We will not confirm or deny if somebody calls the facility that whether or not you're a patient there. And the main reason being, some women come from abusive relationships, or there's domestic violence involved and things along those lines. So we want to protect our clients. And again, our clients' needs are always front and foremost. So yeah, the HIPAA compliance, all compliance, completely confidential. And we do provide medically assisted treatment. So we have doctors and psychiatrists and therapists that work for us. So again, all of those rules of confidentiality apply as well.
That's great. You brought up a point, and I heard that particular word, safety. How safe? And I refer basically, Scott, to these domestic problems. So this young lady checks in. She's had domestic problems. This guy is threatening her. He beats her up, whatever, Now, she's with you in your organization. How is she protected by you all?
Yeah, like I said, we maintain very, very good confidential records. So if somebody contacts the facility, we will never confirm or deny whether or not that person's a patient there. But one step further, we do provide 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week staffing. So the women, the adolescents, the men, they are never alone in the building.
Okay.
And we have a very close relationship to the local law enforcement should there be a problem.
That's what I was going to ask you about. You don't have any type of guards or anything at the facility.
No, this is a medical treatment facility. I mean, we are treating psychological and medical needs. We're not a correctional program, so there aren't guards in the buildings. But we do have staff on duty, so that if there's a problem or somebody is harassing, or and we've never had a situation like that.
Okay.
But should we have staff.
So you have mental counselors and everything on staff.
That's right.
So, okay.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this question: if you have a problem there with a husband breaking in or walking in, he finds out that Sally is there. Now what are you going to do? And he comes in there and he said, I want to see Sally and this and that and the other and so on and so forth. Now you've got ladies, I'm sure, there, attendants. I mean, all right, what's going to happen then? I mean, the 911 gets a big fast call? Is that what it is? Or?
Well, thank God we've never had a situation like that, so I can't talk from experience. But what I can say is our staff are all trained in crisis de-escalation.
Okay, that's what I wanted to bring out.
Absolutely. 911 would be called immediately. We've got very close ties with all the local law enforcement, so they will be there shortly. But in the meantime, all of our staff are very well trained on crisis de-escalation, so I would hope that they would be able to calmly and politely manage the situation until law enforcement did arrive.
Hopefully is the word.
Yes, hopefully is the word we were looking for.
Oh, Scott, how do I get into the treatment? I mean, how do I, what do I have to do? Do I come knocking on your door?
It is as easy as a phone call. You can call us. You can contact us through our website, www.sojournerrecoveryservices.org.
Okay.
Or you can reach us on our phone. Like I said, if you call in, say that you want help, we will schedule an assessment within 20 to 48 hours. A lot of times same day. We'll tell you to come on down and we can get the ball rolling.
Okay. I'm standing outside your facility on Erie Avenue, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and I want to come in. Can I just walk in the door?
Our door's always open, yeah. That's our administrative office on Erie Avenue. But come on in and we will arrange for our staff, our case managers, or somebody to take you down to the clinic for an assessment. And we will get you enrolled as quickly as possible.
So your staff, basically your staff is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We are.
You tell me.
Yes. I
mean, and I guess you can get physicians or whatever you need at a phone call.
Yes,
which
doctors,
are on your
doctors
staff.
are on call. Like I said, all of our physicians work for us. We have doctors on call. We have case managers and clinicians on call. And again, 24-hour staff at the facilities.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. What if I need, I shouldn't ask you this question, what if I need detox services?
Well, if you need detox services, then you've come to the right place. We currently provide ambulatory detox, which is not medically based detox. So it is medically based, but it's not an inpatient service. So depending on what drug you're addicted to, depends on what kind of detox are available. So we provide ambulatory detox. We also contract with inpatient facilities that will, if you need an inpatient stay that'll last 2 or 3 days.
All right. Okay.
Hopefully you won't call for that.
No, I don't. Not yet. Let's put it that way. What are some of the good things happening with your recovery services?
We've got a lot of great stuff going on. We've got a lot of really good community partners. We're providing excellent treatment, and we are really at a turning point. We're seeing a change in the needs. Like I said earlier, we're seeing a change in demographics. We're seeing a change in the types of drugs being used. Heroin has hit the Midwest like an epidemic. So what we're doing is we're tailoring our services around those needs so that we can always provide the best services possible. We are in the process of updating some different curriculums and instituting some new programming. We are expanding the services we provide at our clinic. So we've got a lot of really great and exciting things. It's a really exciting time for Sojourner Recovery Services. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we can help everyone with every need they have.
Oh, that sounds great. Listen, tell our viewers a little bit about our Basket of Hope program, the Youth Philanthropy Committee, and the Middletown Community Foundation. You've got all kinds of groups at your
Some of the great partners we have this program we call Baskets of Hope. And what it is when a woman comes to our program, a lot of times they don't have some of those basic needs, towels and soap and toothbrushes, deodorant. So what we've done is we actually hold a 5K every year in the spring. and we'll raise money through that and through other donations to buy all these supplies. And when we give it to the people, maybe they're coming from an abusive home or something. It's literally like a fresh start. They're getting a fresh towel, fresh cleaning supplies. So it really is kind of a basket of hope.
Okay.
We're instilling hope throughout the treatment process. Some of our other partners, the Hamilton Community Foundation, has been phenomenal. They've donated money and put in playgrounds at a lot of our facilities. Like I said, the women are allowed to bring their kids.
Sure.
And they've donated money to put in playgrounds so that we've got a place for the kids to play and they can enjoy themselves while in childcare. And we have the Middletown Community Foundation donated, and I think Hamilton Community Foundation donated to send our adolescent programs to a high ropes course over Camp Campbell Guard. So we try to keep it exciting and interesting. And like I said, the community has been so supportive. We really are fortunate.
Okay. One other thing before we get down to the nitty-gritty here, how can our viewers get more information about your fine recovery? However, before that, how big of a staff do you have, and do you ever use volunteers? Do you ever need volunteers?
Yeah, we have a large staff. We actually have a staff of 95 at our 7 facilities, but we absolutely use volunteers all the time for a variety of things. So if you're willing or interested in volunteering, give us a call and we'll find something for you to do.
Okay.
So we have a long list.
Okay. Now, how can our viewers get more information about your fine recovery services? And I think we're going to throw that right up on the screen for you.
Yes, the best place to do it. There it is. You can call us. The number's on the screen, 513-868-7654. Or you can go to our website, which is pretty comprehensive, at www.sojournerrecovery.org.
Well, Scott, I'll tell you, it's been an awful big pleasure talking to you today, bringing out this fine organization that you have. And I just can't say enough. And our viewers have just got to listen to these sort of things. They know that now something is available and has been available for a long time. And now it's time that they get with the program. That was a good one. Get with the program. Okay. But I do want to thank you for coming here today, bringing about your message to our viewers so they are aware of this fine, fine organization that's helping not only the youth, but the adults of our communities. And I also want to thank the volunteers who are here today because without them, these productions would not be possible. And if you're interested in becoming a volunteer here at Waycross, just give us a call at 825-2429. And this is Jan Afro, and until next time.